Welcome back everybody, my name is Suvesant and today's topic is Operation Security. In this presentation I will be outlining some definitions and goals. So what is Operation Security? Well, according to the CISSP prep guide that we are using, Operation Security can be described as the controls over the hardware in a computing facility, the data media used in a facility, and the operators using these resources in a facility. So, under the International Information System Security Certification Consortium, um, there are some goals outlined that a CISSP candidate are expected to accomplish. So, these goals will include know the resources that must be protected, the privileges that must be restricted, the control mechanism that are available, the potential for access abuse, the appropriate controls, and the principles of good practice. So the goals of this topic will be outlined in three categories: controls and protection, which will describe the categories of operational controls needed to ensure our CIA confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Two, monitoring and auditing, which will describe the need for monitoring and auditing the controls. And three, threats and vulnerabilities, where threats will be discussed and violations that are applicable to the operations domain. So, under domain definition, operation security refers to the act of understanding the threats to and vulnerabilities of computer operations in order to routinely support operational activities that enable computer systems to function correctly. It also refers to the implementation of security controls for normal transaction processing, system administration tasks, and critical external support operations. These controls can include resolving software or hardware problems, along with proper maintenance of auditing and monitoring process. So operation security domain is concerned with triples. What is triples? This basically refers to a combination of terms which are threat, vulnerability, and assets that are defined in relation to operation security. So under this topic, a threat in this domain can be defined as the presence of any potential event that could cause harm by violating security. An example of this would be an operator's abuse of privileges, thereby violating confidentiality. The other term, vulnerability, this is defined as a weakness in a system that enables security to be violated. So one example of this is weak implementation of the separation of duties. And lastly, assets, which is considered anything that is a computing resource or ability. Example, hardware, software, data, and personnel. Next, we want to talk about how operation security affect C.I.A, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So for confidentiality, operations controls affects the sensitivity and secrecy of the information. For integrity, how well the operation controls are implemented directly will affect the data's accuracy and authenticity. And for availability, the controls affect the organization's level of fault tolerance and its capability to recover from failure. So, operation security domain is concerned with the controls that are used to protect hardware, software, and media from the following: threats in an operating environment, internal or external intruders, and operators who are inappropriately accessing resources. So as mentioned earlier in this presentation, a CISSP candidate should know the resources to protect, how privileges should be restricted, and the controls to implement. With this in mind, there are two critical aspects of operation control, which are resources protection, which includes hardware control, and privilege entity control. So next we have categories of controls. So there are three major types of categories for operations security controls. The first type being preventative controls. So in this domain, controls are designed to achieve two things: to lower the amount and impact of unintentional errors that are entering the system, and to prevent unauthorized intruders from internal or external accessing the system. An example of these controls might be pre-numbered forms or a data validation and review procedure to prevent duplication. The second method of control is detective control. This control is used to direct an error once it has occurred. So unlike preventative controls, these controls operate after the fact and can be used to track an unauthorized transaction for prosecution or to lessen an error's impact on the system by identifying it quickly. So an example of this is types of control in an audit trail. And the third control is corrective or recovery control. So these controls are implemented to help mitigate the impact of a loss event through data recovery procedures. They can be used to recover after damage, such as restoring data that was inadvertently erased from a hard drive. So now we have come to the end of my presentation. I hope you were able to have an idea or grasp the topic, and if there are any questions, feel free to leave it in the comment below. Thank you.